In a disaster or an emergency situation, it is important to take into account the special needs of vulnerable populations. However, defining special needs and who is considered vulnerable during a disaster can be challenging because there are many different factors and situations to consider. In the state of Florida, a person with special needs is someone who, during periods of evacuation or emergency, requires sheltering assistance due to physical impairment, mental impairment, cognitive impairment, or sensory disabilities. These individuals may need special consideration and accommodations during a disaster to ensure that their critical needs are met. If special medical needs are not met during a disaster, it can lead to the worsening of special needs individuals' disabilities, medical conditions, and even lead to death. For example, an individual with special needs may have life-supporting or life-sustaining equipment that is dependent on electricity to run, such as an oxygen concentrator or dialysis equipment. If they don't have electricity to power this equipment, they could die. Another example of how special needs could cause difficulty in a disaster would be how it may be harder for individuals with mobility issues or other various medical conditions to evacuate during a disaster, which may lead to them being directly impacted by said disaster. Because of special needs groups' vulnerability to the harsh conditions of disasters, there must be special preparedness measures for these groups during an emergency to preserve their lives and quality of life. One critical part of preparedness for special needs groups are the preparedness measures the individual with special needs, their family member, or their caretaker takes to make sure that their special needs can be met during the disaster. This includes preparing an emergency kit with all the supplies that they would need, having a personal preparedness plan for when the disaster occurs, getting their medications refilled, registering for the special needs registry, etc. Special needs shelters are another big part of preparedness and response to special needs during a disaster. These shelters provide auxiliary power and mass care for individuals who cannot safely remain in their home to help sustain individuals' level of health. However, special needs shelters should be a last resort. The Special Needs Registry is where special needs individuals can pre-register for special needs shelters. According to Chapter 252, Section 355 Florida Statutes, emergency management agencies must maintain a registry of persons with special needs that identifies those persons in need of assistance and plan for resource allocation to meet those identified needs. The Special Needs Registry identifies who is expected to evacuate to a shelter, assists with planning for who needs transportation to a shelter, allows the County Department of Health and Emergency Management to estimate how much supplies are needed at a shelter, and has the special needs individual's medical information already accessible when the client is checked into a shelter. Finally, it is important that healthcare providers who service special needs people are prepared for disasters. Many licensed healthcare facilities are required by statute and rule to have an approved comprehensive emergency management plan that details how they will educate their clients about the Special Needs Registry, help them register, record their emergency plans, and confirm these plans so the healthcare provider can make sure that they are able to continue critical care during and following an emergency.